Welcome back to Module 6. We are still discussing individual oils for digestive conditions, common digestive conditions. And we are just starting the category of TonifyYang. And this is going to be a short video. We're just going to do TonifyYang and Warm the Interior. And it's just 5 oils total, 2 of which we have already covered. So the first one we're going to talk about, and we have not talked about it yet, is fennel. And fennel is in the categories of Warm the Interior, TonifyYang, and Digestion. And what a great combination, TonifyYang and Digestion. It's a mid-note. The parts distilled is the seeds. It's a warming oil. It goes to the liver, spleen, stomach, and kidney. It's a 4% dilution. And it is contraindicated for children in pregnancy and with cancer. Its actions are stomachic, cholagogue, analgesic, and diuretic. It is an oil that strengthens and regulates. Its functions are that it warms the middle heater to promote digestion and appetite. And then there's a little parentheses that excessive use will end up suppressing the appetite. So don't want to use anything in excess, but with regular use it promotes digestion and appetite. It regulates fluid metabolism. It is helpful for frequent scanty urination, edema, gout, cystitis, cellulite, and expelling cold from the liver channel, hernia, menstrual cramping, and amenorrhea. It strengthens the kidneys and willpower. That enlivens Ming Men fire, and I have a little asterisk next to this one, meaning it's a strong function. It helps with heart-kidney communication, and it does that by nourishing kidney yin and tonifying kidney yang. Good for cold in the stomach with abdominal pain, undigested protein, loss of appetite, nausea, constipation, and desire for warm drinks. We talked about the cold in the liver channel. It's good on bunions. Opens the dumai with some other herbs or oils. Slightly narcotic. It has been found useful to neutralize alcohol and is therefore important for recovering alcoholics. It resonates with the root chakra. It is good for someone who is losing a sense of self due to apprehension. They're afraid of being successful, and sometimes they might take leaps instead of steps. Someone who hides their emotions out of fear, and also for someone who is not able to make the connections that they want, and that's that heart-kidney communication that this can help to restore. And very helpful in digestive conditions, as we saw, promoting digestion and appetite, regulating fluid metabolism, good for cold in the stomach. So this is a good. It is estrogenic, so we need to keep that in mind, and that's probably that cancer caution there, or contraindication. And it's a good one for keeping in mind that estrogenic component, but with infertility, that strengthening of the kidneys, that warming of the abdomen and the kidneys. It can be helpful in certain cases of infertility. So after fennel, we're going to revisit Litsea. Looking at it just as a digestive oil. And it tonifies the spleen and kidney. And like pine, it can be helpful for cox-crow diarrhea. And now we're going to look at oils that warm the interior. And the first one we're going to look at is clove. So clove categories, we've got warm interior, TonifyYang, and expel parasites. Clove is futsa-like, so something to keep in mind. If you can see all the way over there, that says that it's futsa-like. The top notes: the flowers, leaves, and stems. It's hot. Not just warm, but hot. Goes to the spleen, stomach, and kidney. Good to note this, 1 to 2% dilution. Not for kids, not for pregnant women and their babies. And it says to always begin with the smaller dosage, so begin with the 1%, and it is for short-term use only. Another contraindication is deficient yin. Its actions are antiviral, antiparasitic, anti-infectious, analgesic, carminative, and I have added antifungal. Its functions are warm the interior to expel cold in the stomach and spleen, resulting in indigestion, diarrhea, and abdominal pain and spasm. It warms the kidneys and its manifestations. It's good for bone bee obstruction, teeth, and impotence, also low energy and low motivation. It promotes the release of latent cold, which can lead to opportunistic infections, destroys intestinal parasites and pestilent qi, and you can do that internally using 1 to 2 drops emulsified in honey and mixed into warm water. Indications starred is deficient spleen and kidney qi. We know those signs and symptoms, they're listed here. It's good for loss of Mingmen fire. It's good for teeth and powder and paste, and for toothaches. It's incredible for toothaches. I had personal experience using it with a toothache where it was literally the only thing that got me through the weekend until I got to the dentist. I just would put it on a Q-tip and rub it on the tooth and on the gums around the tooth. It was amazing. I just used it straight. It tastes horrible. It numbs your tongue. But when you have that kind of tooth pain, it doesn't matter. And I had a friend who was really suffering with tooth pain, and I kept telling him to try it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm trying this and that," and no, painkillers aren't touching it, and I'm taking high doses of ibuprofen and all these things, and finally I just gave him a little thing of straight clove oil, and I thought he was going to cry. He was so relieved. It can really be helpful. So that is just good to know. Like I said, it tastes horrible, but it doesn't matter if you're in that place, if you're dealing with that pain. It helps people who have lost the ability to interact due to cold. You can warm them up and get them interacting again. On bladder, 1% dilution on bladder 67 for difficult labor, 1% dilution on gallbladder 8 for midbrain treatment. It can absorb the heat of a fire epidemic, and that's like attracting like thing. It's hot and it can draw that heat to it. Good for people whose boundaries are not strong. It welcomes individuation. And again, like the oils that we were just talking about, it can also work in the reverse, in sort of the flip scenario, where there's somebody who wants to be noticed. Oh, this is a good, I like this indication. Somebody who wants to be noticed but not stared at. And it can be helpful for that with Lang Lang. And so give somebody the comfort to just be in the world, whether they're noticed or not. Yeah. And it can have a divergent function of bringing toxicity out from the bone, and when it's mixed with sesame oil and used in a divergent treatment. So that's clove, WarmInterior, expel cold from the spleen and stomach. So really good for cold digestive complaints, and also intestinal parasites. Next, we are going to look at lemongrass. Categories of warm the interior and TonifyYang, especially spleen yang. It's a top note. The leaves, grass are distilled. It's warm, goes to the liver and the spleen. It's a 3% dilution. Contraindications are heat and empty fire, and that it can burn the skin. And when we talked about grapefruit, remember we said that grapefruit can help neutralize that. Mix it with grapefruit oil and it will not be so annoying to the skin. Actions are anti-inflammatory, stomachic, diuretic, and insecticide. And after that it says fleas, ticks, and lice. Its functions are to warm the spleen for transformation and transportation. Just what we're talking about, and to astringe the yang. It is great for deficient spleen yang. Flatulence, abdominal bloating, poor appetite, cold limbs, loss of concentration, heaviness, and lethargy. It can be used in a 2% dilution for scabies and ringworm. It can help to promote mindfulness. Lemongrass has an affinity for spleen 9. When there's deficient spleen yang, it can help rid the spleen of dampness. Insecticidal capacity for Lyme's disease after initial onset. So great digestive oil, helping the spleen yang to carry out its duties of transformation and transportation. Now we just have one more oil left to cover, and we have already covered it, so we're just revisiting ginger. So harmonize the middle jowl. Expel parasites. And harmonize the middle jowl. It's helpful for nausea, indigestion, bloating, loose stools, reduced appetite. You can harmonize, and obviously it's warming, so it's harmonizing and warming the middle jowl, which will help promote healthy digestion when that is what is needed. So that wraps up the individual oils for Module 6. And in the last part of Module 6, we're going to look at some case studies and then example formulas. And I would be just thrilled if you guys just discuss those formulas a little bit in the forum on Google Classroom and give suggestions or thoughts, and it would be wonderful. So see you in the next video where we're going to do some case studies for common digestive complaints.